welcome to the Animo Show.
Where the X is silent.
My name is Anthony, your host. Today I am joined by my sister, Tina. We're going to go ahead and get into an introduction just for you guys to get to know her more, since she will be a regular on the show from time to time. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get that started. So first things first. The first thing we want to know is, what is the first movie you remember seeing in theaters?
You know, I had to rack my brain for that. I really did. Because my aunt would take us to the theater all the time when I was really young. And I kept wondering what...
Me too, Lisa?
Yeah.
Me too.
My dad's sister used to take us to the movies all the time. And the movie theater that we used to go to was called The Village. And it was kind of one of those cheesy little cheap, theaters where a lot of people were there that shouldn't have been there. But anyway, it was either Escape from Alcatraz, which is weird,
okay.
right?
That's Clint Eastwood?
I think. I want to say that might would have what it would have been. But the second thing that I remember distinctly is Alien. The very first Alien, because what we would do is she would take us there, whatever was playing. Do you know what I mean? So it wouldn't be where like we would.
It would be a plan like, hey, let's go to the movies.
Yeah, well, her thing was we would go to the movies on Sundays or whatever, and it was just whatever was there. Yeah. And she really didn't care if we were age appropriate or not.
Yeah.
So she just took us all and said, "Hey, we're going to the movies." So that was the first movie I remember.
Yeah, I remember seeing Green Mile with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where'd she take you?
Greenback.
Oh.
And this is like when movies, I think the tickets were like, we saw matinee times. So it was like $5, something like that.
Yeah.
And she took me and Gabe and we saw Green Mile. But what was so funny is she was like the break the rules kind of aunt. So
smuggling stuff in her bag.
Yeah, we had like snacks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did.
In her purse and stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing was, at the end of the movie, she's like, "Are you guys tired? Do you guys want to go home?" And we're like, "We're not like tired or anything." And she's like, "You want to see another movie?"
So we'd see
and it was like literally we just movie hopped.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It was like the days when you could just do.
Yeah, because I mean, for all I remember, we could have stayed for both of those movies on the same day.
Save $1.
Yeah, I just don't remember. Like, I just remember she was like, "It's movie time," and like that was it. We didn't even know what we were going to see. So anyway, Anyway, that's what got me kind of like a real big fan of Alien. It did freak me out though. I will say that it did.
Yeah.
The ones,
how old do you like remember?
I want to say because I was thinking last night, like when I was going over these questions, I must have been 8, maybe.
Oh my God, Alien scene.
Yeah. Well, because I was born in 1971, and obviously I had to be, elementary, maybe, like 8 or 9, maybe 10, if that. But
so
somewhere
like
around there.
Grade?
Yeah, because it came out in, I had to look it up. It came out in 1979. So like I was, right around that time. Yeah, I was
grade? Something like that?
Yeah, something
like around there.
Yeah. So
yeah. Those are good movies though
exactly.
to see for your.
Well, I mean, not my choice, but like it made me appreciate sci-fi movies anyways, we'll say that.
What are some of your favorite movies?
I have a lot, and they're all over the place. So if you guys see me looking to the right, it's because I had so many choices, I didn't know which ones I really wanted to comment on. Mm-hmm. So I actually have a little bit of a note on the right side of me, so please don't think I'm rude. I'm not. I'm just trying to remember everything. Yeah. So I would say my very first childhood movie that really made me also get into like monsters and things like that is Sinbad. Sinbad was like my favorite movie, and it was one of those movies that would come on Sundays. Our family was religious, so we didn't go out to the movies that much. We watched like movies on Sundays and stuff like that. So those were the types of movies that were playing when I was a kid. So it was Sinbad for sure, and there were 3 different movies that came with that. Clash of the Titans. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie, but that was also another movie that was really, really exciting and like fun to watch. And then of course Alien, because I became a fan of the aliens. I don't remember when the second Alien came out. I think the
80s,
second came I think the second Alien came out in 1982.
Yeah,
I
something
want to
like
say,
that.
because I know it wasn't very long after the first. So that was another one of my favorite movies. And then I was a teenager of the 80s, like the 80s raised me. So I would say my all-time favorite movie as a child, or one of my favorite movies growing up, was, I could say all the John Hughes movies.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I could say that because I did see some of
Breakfast
them.
Club,
Well, I mean, there was
Pretty
a lot
in
of stuff.
Pink,
Yeah, there
16
was.
Candles.
And also, when I was a kid, that was when like Michael Myers just came out and Friday the 13th, but that was when like people were screaming in the theater and don't go there, and you know what I mean? It was all those kind of stuff. So it was a little bit more exciting and a little bit less kind of like
it was an experience.
managed, you know, because now it's like, oh, you know, don't have your phones on, don't talk, don't this. It wasn't like that in my day. So Valley Girl was one of my favorites when I was a teenager.
Is that Nicolas Cage?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I also looked up whatever happened to the female lead. You know what I mean? Because I was like, she never went on to make any movies. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but Nicolas Cage is Francis Coppola's nephew. So, you know, I didn't know that at the time, but yeah, that was one of my favorite. And it was kind of off the grid. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like Breakfast Club and Weird Science and all these other movies that I loved. Fast forwarding, I liked When Harry Met Sally because I'm a big
Meg Ryan.
Yeah, I'm a big relationship comedy kind of person. And
let me stop you right there. I literally thought, just remembering growing up and like seeing the movies you watch with Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be one of two movies.
Okay.
That you would say, not Harry Met Sally. That was like third choice. The top two choices I thought you were gonna name.
I know you're gonna say that.
French Kiss.
Oh my God! No, I don't. I totally forgot about that.
And You've Got Mail.
I didn't even.
Because I remember watching those like so many times.
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
I remember for like almost a month. I remember you watching French Kiss like almost every day.
You know what else I used to watch a lot, if you remember, is Addicted to Love, I think it's called, too.
Yeah.
That was with Matthew Broderick and Meg Ryan, because, you know, she was huge at that time. She was making so many movies. It's like, she was just in everything. You know what I mean? So it was kind of one of those things. There was another movie because I took care of our dad for a really long time, and I started trying to ask myself, what movies do I like when it comes to your parents? You know what I mean? Like, which one for your father, which one for your mom? So I used to watch a movie called Hanging Up. The kids know it really well. All of the family is familiar with it. That he played the dad, and he was getting dementia, and she was one of three sisters, and they were all different. You know, they all had different roles in their lives, but she was the middle sister, and she was the one that kind of assume this position to take care of her dad, and he was always in trouble, always doing something crazy. Oh, you know, they were always calling her, and so that's the reason why the movie's called Hanging Up, because they were always calling her, and you know, she had to go save the day when it came to her dad. Bride Wars, as we move on into time, Bride Wars was one of my favorites as well, because I feel like I was a caregiver for so long that I kind of missed out a little bit. I was a young mom and a caregiver, and so I feel like I missed out on that nostalgia of a best friend kind of thing, you know. So I started so Bride Wars was just, I don't know, it was just one of those movies that caught me. And then there is another movie that I really, really like that's not that old. It's called Closer. It's another, but I liked it because, again, I like relationship movies, but I also like the raw honesty of relationships, you know, and that movie is really raw. Like, it really breaks into what happens in relationships and how brutal they can be and how honest they can be, and if you can really tolerate that. So that was the last one. And then another movie I really liked was called The Edge. I watched it with my dad. My dad used to love nature stuff. All of our lives, he watched so much different stuff, and we got a Planet Earth and things like that once. So my dad really liked this show called The Edge, and it was with Alec Baldwin, Anthony Hopkins, and I can't remember the woman, the lady.
I haven't seen the movie in so long.
The model. It's a model.
I have that here, right behind us.
It's a model. Anyway, it's about these. It's about this model, and Alec Baldwin plays the photographer, and they go out on location, and her husband is like a billionaire or something, and so he accompanies them to this trip, and they end up going out on this shoot, and everything goes wrong that can go wrong, and they end up getting stuck in the wilderness, and they get hunted by a bear. And so, you know, there is three main characters, and one of the weaker character always dies first, right? Which is, I think, his photography assistant. Remember the other guy? So, and he kind of gets eaten by the bear. But anyway, that was just a movie that I was kind of going back and forth. My dad used to also watch
You remember seeing it with Dad?
Yeah. Okay, well, because I had to go back. Like, I had to think, was it Taken? Taken wasn't really my thing. It was Dad's thing. Like, Dad loved
Liam
Taken.
Neeson. He liked Liam Neeson.
Yeah, with Liam Neeson.
I remember watching Rob Roy like a lot with Dad.
Yeah.
Dang, there's like so many movies with Liam Neeson, and I cannot think of one right now.
Yeah.
Like, all I can think of right now is what's his name? Like The Dark. You know what I'm talking about?
Charles Bronson?
No, no, it's Liam Neeson, but he's like the superhero dude. Like, gets all burned. And he wears like a mask.
I don't know.
Oh man, I cannot think of that right now.
Anyways,
hit me in the comments if you remember the name. I cannot think right now.
Anyway, but I think the root of it all is my dad was the one that kind of turned us all in, because my dad watched a lot of TV, he watched a lot of movies, and he had such a broad interest of movies. And I think that's why my older brother also, Tony, was interested in theater, movies, all that kind of stuff. Now, I don't know if that's really the root of how my brother got involved in theater, but I had the good fortune when I was growing up of going to rehearsals with my brother, being really introduced to theater and the appreciation of film and how it's made and all that kind of stuff. So animal things though were basically my dad. My dad is the one that kind of turned me into like liking nature stuff and stuff like that. And then the last movie that I wanted to say, since I mentioned hanging up about parents thing, was One True Thing. Renee Zellweger plays a daughter, and she's like a writer, and she's really involved in her career, and her mom gets sick, and it's just one of those movies that kind of reels you in. It's sad, but it's like and I think the reason why I was drawn to those types of movies is because I was taking care of my dad, and when you're taking care of somebody sick, your world becomes small because it becomes all about them, and that's what those movies are about, is kind of giving up your own identity and your own environment to take care of someone who took care of you. And so that's kind of the reason why I chose those two movies. So that's it.
Okay, that was a lot.
I know, I'm sorry. Anyway.
When I thought of the question, I was like, oh, she's going to give me like
Fasten your seatbelt, you guys, when I'm on here, because you'll be like, is she ever going to stop? Anyway, go ahead.
Moving on. The next question is, what are some of your favorite TV shows?
Favorite TV shows are easy because classic I Love Lucy. I watch it all the time, over and over and over again. And then Ally McBeal. So a lot of the shows that I remember as I was in my 20s and 30s are always like, they're dramedies, I guess, so that it wasn't always serious. And then Star Trek Next Generation, when the kids were growing up, we used to eat dinner to that all the time. Yeah, the Next Generation is my favorite. My son always talks to me about watching Deep Space Nine, and I've tried it so many times, but it's not the same.
Is that the one with the lady?
Yeah, and there was another one too, I think. There was so many spin-offs that I don't know.
Like the light brown hair.
Yeah, the Next Generation was just my favorite, number one.
That one was okay.
I don't know.
Deep Space Nine was okay. Next Generation is they had the best, in my opinion, they had the best movies, and they had an amazing cast. Everyone was good.
Yeah, I like it too. I like Deanna. She's she was my favorite. I just felt like they all had really good chemistry on camera. So like that's why I liked it so much. And
Data.
Yeah. Oh, Data too.
Data
yeah.
Was good.
Data too, because it's like now whenever I see him in anything else, like
he's
I don't
Data.
Know. Yeah, I don't know if you remember he was in Independence Day, and like that's all I could think of.
He's in
Data.
Master of Disguise too. Yeah. He's like the bad guy.
Yeah. And then also I liked Monk.
Oh, yeah.
And my son, actually, I didn't even know much about Monk when it was actually happening. My son actually turned me on to it because we bought it for him for Christmas. No, David.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We bought it for him for Christmas. And I don't know, I was just like, oh my God, I love that show. Will and Grace.
Oh, okay.
And I like Will and Grace. I mean, if I had to choose now, I don't know if I would say that then, but like Will and Grace, Just Jack. You know what I mean? Like, I just like Just Jack. Like I all the characters, they were just always really funny. But anyway, Will and Grace. And then I recently saw a show which I think is pretty new. It's called, it's not new, but like Scandal. Okay. I like Scandal. I think
is that with Kerry Washington?
Yeah, okay, I liked it. I don't know, because I'm always surfing Hulu. And then definitely The Killing, best drama, best gritty like drama show I've ever seen. And then last is The Handmaidens Tale. I think that's probably my most frequent.
They're coming back, I think.
Yeah, my most like recent show I really like. Praise be. Yeah. But anyways, or may the Lord May the Lord Open. That's what it's
Okay.
called. Anyway, that's my favorite show. So there's that.
Yeah, you're all over the place.
I know. It's fine.
From I Love Lucy to Handmaidens Tale.
See, but that's what makes me like interesting.
That's good.
I like to be.
I'm the same way. I'll watch Perry Mason from like the 50s, and then I'll go and watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And Stranger Things and anime and stuff. Well,
it was
like that.
interesting that you introduced Murder, She Wrote to Harumi. I thought that was interesting because I was like, my mom loves that show. But I've never watched that show.
I love
Columbo, though, I mean, that makes sense.
If you like Columbo, you'll like Murder, She Wrote, because it's like where the main person, their dynamic makes the show. So like Columbo, like you watch it because he's Columbo and his dynamic in the show, like no matter what the crime is, you don't care about the crime. Like
he's
you
just
don't
like
care.
His character.
His character, you can watch anything with that character.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like that with her.
Yeah. When you said that, I thought of in my day. It was like at that time, it was like Streets of San Francisco too, were like big. That was where Michael Douglas got his start.
Oh,
before he became like a big motion picture actor. Anyway.
They learned it, shared it. Moving on. What show would you love to see remade?
I'm just going to say I'm not a big fan of reboots. I'm a big fan of reunions, but I'm not
So if they brought it back with like the original cast and it's like them, like if it was them later in a time, like later in their life, depending on the show. So I'll have my reaction to whatever show you say.
I would say if I wanted to see a reunion of cast, it would be Ally McBeal, probably. Just because the vibe of all the cast. And the cast was so large. But anyway, everybody just had a good like chemistry together, you know, and it was like really a versatile cast. So, because actually, you just asking me that, a lot of the shows that were famous, like when I was in my 20s, you know, that we're talking about, they've already done reunions, you know, like they just did Friends. I think they did. I even didn't even know that they did. Yeah, but that's like
reunion to talk about the show.
Well, they did. They even did Will and Grace. I didn't know that. They did it in 1920. I didn't know that. So I didn't see it yet. Or maybe they were talking. I don't know. I was reading about it.
2019?
Yeah. Okay. 2019, 2020, like somewhere.
Will and Grace in 1920.
You know what I mean. Anyways.
It was looked down on in those days.
I'm just not a big fan of reboots, though, man. I'm like, when something is successful, leave it alone.
So, but what if the show ended in a way that it's like, it didn't end. It was literally like in the middle of an episode. Something happened.
Like the killing?
Yeah, and then you never get any closure. Like there's no good ending to it.
Well, that's kind of, you know, for you saying that just reminds me of Scandal, because I was reading at the end, the way it ended. She said that from the start, the way she wrote the show, she only wanted the show to be 7 seasons, and that's the way she wrote it. She wrote it so that there wouldn't, because those types of dramedies and dramas and stuff, they can just keep going, like look at Law and Order, okay? But I'm just saying, you know, that there's those types of shows, they can just be written, and she wanted just like a baseline of the story and stuff like that. So I don't know. I would just say Ally McBeal.
Next question. So what's the last movie you saw in theaters?
Like 100 years ago, I would say the last time I was actually in a theater, because I don't go to the movies that often, was Sniper. So that was a long time.
Sniper, the one with
Was it called American Sniper? Is that what it's called?
Oh, American Sniper.
American Sniper?
Yeah. Okay. That's a little bit newer.
Sorry.
It's like at least in the 2000s.
I feel like I did see something else, but I can't remember. I just absolutely cannot remember. So the only one that rings out in my head is
American Sniper.
Yeah, American Sniper. But that's because I was with somebody that loved military movies, and
okay, yeah, then that, yeah, okay, it's American Sniper.
Military movies. And that was a true story, so it was kind of cool.
So.
What?
Okay. Okay. So
he's reading my answers, y'all.
Yeah, I was like, because I was like, okay, like, because I want to know this a lot too. If you can have a friend, or best friend from any TV show or movie, who would that person be or character in that show?
Well, I had to go back and forth because I'm a fan of Jennifer Aniston. I just am. The reason why is because even through all her movies and through her sitcom, she's organic.
Mm-hmm.
She just is. Like, you can tell, like, her mannerisms and her personality. Now, I don't know what she's like off camera. I don't know. But, like, just...
It has to be pretty close to
yeah,
that.
well, it was, like, between her and Phoebe. Because if I had a... Because that's what I was going to ask you. Are you talking about, like, the actor, or are you talking about the character?
I said both. I was saying both. It's so, like, if it was a character, like, what's her name?
Phoebe? What?
Phoebe.
Phoebe would be funny, you know?
Yeah,
like,
or Lisa... Like, they're two different people, I guess. Lisa Kudrow is Lisa Kudrow, and then Phoebe.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't think of her name.
Rachel.
I don't know why I want to say Rebecca. Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rachel, you would want Rachel.
Yeah, well, because I went back and forth, even with the TV shows, because I was going to say Sex and the City. I mean, you know, it was a big deal. It was
Which
a big
one?
female. Well, no, I meant the TV, you know, when
you were just part, you're like the fifth member in Sex and the City.
When she asked me about when he asked me about the TV shows, I thought about mentioning Sex and the City. And then I thought, you know, when I read this question, I thought, which one of those characters, you know, because I was really attached to that show at that time, which one would I really like? Because they used to classify.
Well, you know what's funny
like,
is if you choose
like Golden Girls, right?
Well, if you choose Sex and the City, you get all four of them pretty much, because you can't be friends with like one of them, like Miranda or Samantha or Carrie,
or even Golden Girls, because they were like such a
exactly. They're so tight knit that like you're still their friend. Yeah, you're all of their friends.
Yeah. But I went back and forth because I was like, Phoebe would make light and funny to everything.
You're like, I just want to be Aiden.
Yeah, but then like Jennifer Aniston kind of has this thing where she's always empathetic and, you know, she's funny, but she's like caring and all that stuff. So I don't know. I would just say Rachel. Like I would want myself a Rachel. That's what I think.
Yeah. And actually, I think that you're right. I think like it's organic because Jennifer Aniston is pretty much Rachel. Like I feel like I feel like I can see that. It's so early in her career. I feel like all the mannerisms, all of like, besides like the writing and all that, I think a lot of that is how she is. Like if you see her in interviews, she's funny. She's still like witty.
Yeah, for sure.
And she still has like that like rawness.
Yeah, and she has a youthful spirit.
There's no like fakeness to like her.
I think so too.
It's like all just organic. There's no like somebody's writing my answers, I'm answering this way.
Yeah.
Because this is, you know, PC or whatever.
Yeah. Well, plus I think when TMZ like catches up with her, everybody hates TMZ. I do too. But what I'm saying is when they get raw footage of her, you can still just tell.
You can see Rachel.
Well, I mean, I think that's Jennifer Aniston. I think that's what made the character, though, is that she just brought the organic.
I think Matthew Perry is like Matthew Perry is Chandler. Yeah. 100%. I think he is like maybe a little more on the seriousness. Like he can have a seriousness.
Yeah.
But I think he is like super sarcastic, super funny.
Yeah.
And quick.
He's changed a lot, though. In that interview when they did the reboot, a lot of people were commenting on how I think he was sick, though. I think he got sick or something, and so that's the reason why he was so different, you know, on camera.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Really like, he's more serious now, but you can tell, like, he's just... He's quick and sarcastic.
Yeah. Me too. I agree. And I like Ross, though, because Ross was just goofy. And every time I hear Ross's name, I always relate him to the giraffe.
Oh, yeah, Madagascar.
I need my prescriptions. But yeah, anyways. And
well, we can talk about Friends forever, but
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, also though, just saying, that's why I was talking about that though, because I was thinking about what I want Carrie Bradshaw. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's the reason why I brought that up. Okay. Because I was going back and forth, like who would
Rachel or Carrie.
Yeah. And then also, and I wanted to mention this real quick before we move on, is that if I had to have a male best friend or whatever, it'd be Joe Coy. I'm sorry. Like, he's not from a TV show, but y'all, I love Joe Coy. Yeah. Even I watch his podcast and everything. He seems like he'd be really fun to be around. So
100%.
More like us, you know, like our background. So anyway.
Okay.
That's enough about that.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
I know.
Thank you guys so much for watching. This was Getting to Know My Sister Tina. Please like and subscribe. We will see you on the next video, which is A Quiet Place Part 2.
See ya.
See ya.